Welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host, Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Yossuf Albanawi. Yossuf, welcome on the show.
Thanks for having me, Nitin. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is all ours. So tell us who's Yossuf?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I am Yossuf Albanawi, and I co-founded a company called Pilleve, which aims to prevent opioid abuse and addiction. I think it's really interesting that as entrepreneurs, we always tie ourselves to the work that we do, and I think it's really important to be emotionally invested in what you're doing, especially as a founder. But I think to answer your question, who's Yossuf? I think there's a lot that goes into it, but I consider myself an immigrant entrepreneur, originally from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, which for those of you who are not familiar with where it is in Saudi Arabia, it's on the west coast by the Red Sea. So I was raised by the sea, always was connected um, to the sea and to the ocean. So kind of views Jeddah as kind of the LA of Saudi Arabia. We're more laid back, more at ease. But I got into the space kind of by coincidence in a way. I'm very open with my story and in hopes of destigmatizing addiction because it's such a global pandemic. But I once struggled with it myself, and as a young man, from with Arab roots, it's definitely not easy to talk about it, but uh, I realized that I was definitely one of the lucky ones, and had overcome it. And while I was in the U.S. studying, found myself really working at a treatment center, and that's where I was exposed to the opioid crisis at large. But I definitely view myself as someone that uh, you know works with their emotions on their sleeves, so to speak. I try to lead with passion, and so I'm honored to be working on a cause that's really close to my heart, but also is a global issue that my company is equipped at solving.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your story. I know it's not easy, but also thank you for doing what you're doing because we all as a community need help. And so tell us a little more about Believe.
Yeah, sure. I actually have it with me. I like to keep
Yes.
props,
Yeah.
and this is just one part of it. But to take a step back, Pilleve is a digital health solution that is focused on preventing opioid abuse and addiction. And so we developed a medication safety system that monitors medication usage in real time, as well as pain and symptoms, and is the quickest way to identify at risk patients that are currently prescribed controlled medications. What that means is anytime a patient dispenses a pill through their mobile app that connects to the bottle, we're able to collect that information and provide it back to physicians in real time. And our portal basically, um, you know, identifies if a patient takes more than prescribed. And so, we believe that our system is not just for addiction prevention, but rather helping patients be empowered with their healthcare, with their medication, especially now in a world where, uh, you know, kind of COVID exposed some
Mhm.
of the issues that we've always had with healthcare. I think one of them is, allowing patients to gain access to their health,
Right.
but also bridging the gap between the provider in the hospital or the clinic and the patient at home. And so we believe that most of a patient's health is based in their homes. They're taking part in a treatment plan, in a prescription plan at home. So why not bridge it and provide that information in real time? So in a nutshell, that's belief.
So true. And what you're bringing in is the ability to have that social infrastructure around, right? One, giving them access, but also bringing in accountability with it. I love that part. So tell us the size and scale of your operations. I believe you guys have been at it for a few years. Give us a little more perspective.
Yeah, you've you're right in that we've been at it, for almost 4 years now, 3.5 years to be
Mhm.
specific. But as you know, healthcare is long haul. First 2 years was just really research and development, and I believe that actually set us apart from potential competitors, because we really were very bullish on identifying who our customers were, but also the issues that they were facing.
Mhm.
And so we were very clear at identifying three unique stakeholders: the patient, the pharmacist, and the physician.
Mhm.
And so first 2 years was just really bullish on customer discovery, customer validation, and then really we spent the last year rolling out the first generation of our device. So this is what we call the Gen 2,
Mhm.
the Gen 2 device, and we rolled it out early 2020 with about four hospitals,
Mhm.
and they've all passed IRB approvals. They include OHSU in Oregon, Johns Hopkins, and UW in Seattle. And patients being enrolled in the studies could surpass 500, hopefully by the end of the year. And we are a month out from rolling out our next generation of the device, which will be much more reliable in terms of dispensing. Will actually fit with different medications,
Mhm.
so not just certain specific opioids, but different medication classes. So really opening up our market.
Mhm.
Um, and From a team perspective, we're plus or minus 15. And from where we started, my co-founder and I, Gotham, when we met down in Durham, North Carolina, about 3 years ago, to where we are today, it's definitely been an eye-opening experience, and really humbling.
And exciting, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Yes. In terms of, when we look at healthcare, it's, and you kind of mentioned it, it's nothing is short term, right? There is multiple challenges. And if you were to pick the biggest challenge that you guys are facing right now, what would that be?
Yeah, no, you said it. I think patient safety,
Mhm.
prioritizing our patients,
Yeah.
and also that of our investors and our partners and our eagerness to grow. I think for any startup, momentum, a lack of momentum kills you,
Mhm.
and we're very aware of that. But at the same time, as a digital health company that is very patient centric, where you have a hardware device, you have a software solution, you have clinical data being captured, you have potential risks,
Mhm.
but also huge rewards.
Yeah.
You have to be aware of those risks and prioritize patient safety. So I think, say, I wouldn't call it a challenge, but the biggest thing that we're looking out for is, how do we scale up safely
Right.
rather than, uh, leveraging the Silicon Valley motto of,
Yeah.
scale fast and break things.
Big
We,
things.
we
Yeah.
can't really break things, but we definitely still have that we're startup minded. We're very scrappy. So it's all about balancing those two different aspects.
So true. And on the flip side, you started talking about maybe some opportunities. What is the biggest opportunity you're looking at?
Yeah. You know, just last year there were over 30 million patients that were prescribed an opioid uh, after a surgery. So even though the opioid crisis is currently, you know, is something that is prioritized in the healthcare industry today, there's still a lot of potential issues that come with it. So
And these 30
that's
million are just in the US?
just in the
That's
U.S., and that's just
10% of
within.
the population. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly, and that's just within an acute pain population. So that's not including chronic pain patients
Wow.
that are prescribed, opioids regularly. So we also believe that pain medications are there for a reason. It's just that over the last 2 decades, they've been prescribed haphazardly. But a lot of the patients that we work with they're truly in pain. They need it. So how do we ensure that they, are taking it safely versus cutting them off? So I would say the opportunity is being a middle ground solution. Right now, over the last 4 years, as we rolled out strategies to mitigate the opioid crisis, we've gone too aggressive. We kind of went on the opposite direction of the pendulum, and that's caused a lot of issues,
Mhm.
such as chronic pain patients committing suicide, lack of proper treatment plans, and providers actually being scrutinized, and some falsely flagged and losing their licenses. So it's caused actually a massive ripple effect. And now the CDC and local state governments are kind of asking themselves, is this the right strategy? So we really believe that we have a middle ground solution that is equipped at maintaining medication safety.
You're right. I mean, on one end, these the people who are going through these procedures, the process of the pain, do need relief. But how do you make sure it's safe and allow them to be responsible about administering these, you know, opioids? And it makes me almost think about, the last 4 years. You said a lot of time was spent in researching and kind of trying to figure out the how, right? Uh, Are there any lessons learned or insights that helped you scale or gain traction in a certain direction?
Yeah, tons. I would say that the first one is prioritizing the patient. Actually, we've always believed that our solution fell in line with that of care providers. Like the data that we are collecting, how we're collecting it, and who we're reporting it back to, whether it's a provider, the physician, whoever's involved in the patient's life, is very, very useful. How we interacted with the patient was always a question mark. There was always solutions
Mhm,
out there that tried to do what we did, like lock boxes, like
mhm,
these large, pill dispensers that prevented people from accessing it, or even a safe for that matter. Some providers would actually tell their patients, "Hey, put this in a safe." Um, and as far as the most rudimentary way of identifying risk, which is pill counts, literally a patient
mhm,
bringing a patient back into the clinic and counting out their pills, which is in this day and age is inefficient. So that was the biggest insight, was how do we create a system that tailors to every stakeholder? it's
mhm,
it's it's very nuanced, but it's actually really, really difficult. And I really believe that's what's setting us apart, and it
mhm,
has allowed us to really gain momentum in this space over the last 3 years. And so not designing something that is a lockbox,
mhm,
but also that is safe, right? So only the patient can access it through the smartphone, and the design element of it, how it fits with, the RX model, that, pharmacies can easily adapt it and integrate it just by buying our device and twisting it on, and,
mhm,
putting in the labels right here. So it integrates well into each stakeholder's life, but specifically the patient. When you compare it to potential competitors that are trying to do what we're doing, a lot of them are focused on making it a lockbox and not prioritizing the patient. We invite the patient into Pilleve. They're a big stakeholder, and if we don't empower them, and if they're not empowered, using Pilleve, then the data is not going to make sense. It's not going to be valuable. And
true.
so I believe that's really the biggest insight that we've collected.
Yep, customer first. And the other thing is, I love the form factor, the design. It's so user friendly, and it shows that you're thinking of the customer first. So kudos
And
to
we're
you.
going to make it smaller. So the next generation is actually going to be half of this. So we're
Wow.
we're going to shrink it. We're going to shrink it. Yeah,
It's pretty small as is. So going half of that, I'm excited. I'm gonna look at it as soon as it's available.
definitely.
So let's switch gears now. Let's get to know you a little better. Uh, and we want to do this through a series of one-line life lessons. I would love for you to share a few of those with us.
For sure. It was actually one of the hardest things that I've done this year. Uh, so I appreciate the opportunity of also helping me reflect on what are the things that not only make me me, but what are the things that I've learned that maybe I can, share it with your audience, and maybe maybe they can take away a few things.
Yes.
I will say that I have a lot of things to still learn. I'm definitely young. I'm young. I'm still young, but uh, I'd like to also say that I've gone through certain experiences in life
Mhm.
that have shaped me,
Yep.
and like many. But I think to me, one thing that really resonates with me is this notion of uh, not trying to change the world too quickly, but
Mhm.
starting from within. I feel
Mhm.
like, especially amongst my generation, young, up and coming millennials that are early in their career, there's this really, they're drawn to, and I myself included, we're drawn to this notion of making a large impact. And if we're not making impact, then we're not really advancing in our career, or we're not in the right place. I personally disagree with that. I believe that you have to start from within, and it doesn't have to be within yourself per se, but more importantly, your circle. That could be your family members, your friends, making sure that they have what they need, that you're solving problems at a small scale.
Mhm.
Could be personal, it could be familial, it could be friend, and then branching out.
Yeah.
So there's an old proverb that it's used here in the Middle East, and basically encapsulates this. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in it. Start small and grow. It's the same thing. You take and apply it to a startup. I
Mhm.
think when you try to scale too quickly, you're probably going to run into problems if you're not solving for select group of users, a select group of customers first. You're really not. You haven't identified your target market, right? And
True.
so, I think it's something that applies to a lot of different
Beautiful.
things in your life.
Yes. Is there another lesson you would like to share with us?
Yeah. Another one that recently really I was exposed to, and unfortunately, it had to be a tough experience, but nevertheless, something that we all go through is recently I lost a very close person to me, a loved one. And I think to me, it's usually your idols are often sitting across the room from you.
Mhm.
We're always drawn to, celebrities, entrepreneurs that have made it in life, and we try to take from them their lessons. And I think they're important, but there are also a lot of people that are close to you that you can learn from. It could be your mail, the person that's dropping off, mail to your house every day. It could be person, taking care of the streets. It doesn't have to be this renowned,
Larger
epic
than life. Yeah.
character, right? And so it takes a level of awareness, I believe, to really understand that, and so you don't have to go too far to receive wisdom and learn from other people. So it goes back to the notion of starting from within.
I love
Um,
that, by the way. There is something to learn from everyone, right? And yeah, you said it the best. I mean, you don't have to look for larger than life role models. They're all around us.
yep, exactly. I have a few actually written. I
Yeah,
want to
please, we would love those.
speak. I think this to me was is definitely important, especially in the startup phase. For those that are thinking of building a startup, especially if it's outside of your domain. I personally had really not a lot of experience in healthcare before starting Pilleve, and so to some investors, it may raise a red flag, but in fact, I believe if you're passionate and you love what you do, you're going to find the answers. You're going to find other people to help you find the answers. But I really believe that every expert was once a beginner. And so this
Love it.
notion of we're always, as founders especially, we're always told to, or we always feel like we have to have all the answers, and it's
Mhm.
very overwhelming, and it could get to you. And so I think just reminding yourself that every expert was once a beginner at least gives you peace of mind that you have a lot to learn, and you're still striving, right? And so don't feel daunted. If you're in the room and you get imposter syndrome. I mean, to this day,
Yes.
I'm talking to really smart people in the space. Physicians, researchers that have decades of experience in the space, and at first it definitely was very intimidating. I still feel some level of it, but I think it's just, to me, I just sit there today and I'm at peace with it because I appreciate the moment. I appreciate the opportunity of being able to be in this position and speak with all these bright people, but also knowing your strength and owning the room. You're there for a reason, and don't feel daunted by it.
So beautifully said. And I think, in addition to that, it's also a reminder that part of the fun is in the journey of learning and figuring out new things. If you knew it all, then it won't be as much fun.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings me to my fourth viewpoint is trust the process. As
Yeah.
you said, enjoy the journey, but also trust the
Yeah.
process. I think to me, it required a lot of spirituality to be able to go through all the challenges
Mm.
that startups face, just humans in general,
Right.
but doing what you have to do, what's in your control. But what's outside of your control, you have to trust the process.
Yeah.
And because if you don't, it's going to be really overwhelming. Just knowing that the path that you're there for a reason. Be purpose driven, and I think that's honestly 50% of the problem being solved right there.
Yeah. No, and it takes a lot of maturity and wisdom to realize that, and then to be able to follow it. So kudos to you for getting there. I know you said you've had some personal experiences that have put you on the path, but being able to realize that and being able to share that back with the community, kudos to you.
Thank you. Guess lastly, and I was trying to find the best way to phrase this viewpoint, but to those who believe that UFOs built the pyramids, nothing against you, but uh, you know, uh, it's the people who built the pyramids, right?
Yeah.
It's the people who built the pyramids, and so to me, this is really important right now because I'm far away from my team. I'm back home with my family, and with all the COVID restrictions and lockdowns, I'm not able to be there with them. But I believe that the years that have been invested in the people that I work with gives me the privilege and the ability to be here. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have people that trust you and you trust them working with you, I don't think great things will come. I think every great company invested in their people, and so if you do that, I think you'll be in a really good position, and it's not just for your company, but I mean more importantly for your just the relationships that you have with your family, your friends. At the end of the day, we're all people. We're emotional, we're logical. And if you treat people as the way you want to be treated, I think you've come a long way. So I think that's it in terms of words of wisdom on my end. And again, it's a great opportunity to be here.
Yusuf, I know for sure you're a great leader, and what you just shared with us, that the building that trust and allowing people to show their strengths is a sign of a great leader. So, congratulations to you and to your team for you guys have taken on a significant challenge, and I see no reason why you won't succeed at it.
Thank you.
So,
Means a lot.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
No, thank you. And thanks for making the time to be with us and to share your journey with our audience. We would love to continue to stay in touch with you and see you guys as you achieve greater heights.
Thank you, Nitin. Appreciate it.